Good morning. I hope you guys are having a good morning so far. If you're up, it's only 5 o'clock, so you might not be up yet. If you aren't, I don't blame you. I'm an early bird. I have an internal alarm clock that just goes off, and I wake up, and there's no going back to sleep after that. So I thought I'd sneak out to the shop here and try to get a couple more emails read for you guys. So if all goes well and you're watching this, it should be Friday afternoon, but I'm long gone. I'm in the wilderness, and I'm on my solo survival trip. And yeah, I better come back. I'll be back. I'll make it. I'll survive. That's why it's a survival trip. It's about surviving. But yeah, I'm out of here. I'm gone. I left. I left a couple of days ago. So wish me luck. Wish me luck. But I wanted to get a couple more emails read for you guys and have a couple of things. I'm hoping to have another one after this one, at least one more. But we'll see how it goes. I'm kind of running out of time, so I got this one for sure and maybe one more for you. And I want to hammer through these emails as much as I can and get these people's encounters shared with all of you. So, a couple things that I just wanted to share quickly. I'll try to be brief, and if you don't like my sharing of other shit other than just Bigfoot encounters, remember the glasses. Okay, they're not going on yet. When the glasses go on, that's when I'm reading an email for all you impatient people. Kind of a shitty week this week for me. And the reason being is I got home from my hunting trip and playing catch up and doing what I needed to do. And part of what I had to do was go out to my cabin out on the west coast of the island and bring home my boat because I ran out of time before hunting to go get it and bring it home. So I had to go and get my boat. So Mrs. Outlaw and I headed out on Friday to go get the boat. And there was a massive, major storm that hit the west coast. And we got 17 inches of rain in 30 hours. 17 inches. It was insane. And this little community where my cabin is, this little tiny community, all the roads are gravel roads, and we got out there and a bunch of the gravel roads were washing out. The culverts were plugged and water was running over the roads, and the roads were washing away, and there was people's cabins flooding. It was horrible. I've been out there now for 17 or 18 years, and this is the worst I've ever seen it. It's the worst I've ever seen it. And anyways, so we got out there and there's huge damage being done. And the contractor that looks after the roads out there and stuff does a little bit of work out there. He has a machine out there, but he lives in a small town that's about an hour away from this little community that I'm in. And he couldn't get out there because the roads were washed out getting there for him. So I was there and I contacted him, and long story short, I ended up jumping on his excavator and I spent about 3 hours clearing culverts and diverting water and just doing whatever I could do to save people's cabins and save the roads and prevent, catastrophic damage to the infrastructure there. So I did that, which was fine. Whatever, you know what? You do what you do. You do what you got to do to help your friends and neighbors and your family out, whatever it takes, right? And I didn't hesitate, and I'm sure most people would do the same thing. But I was able to get the culverts cleared out, get the water diverted, and the damage was held sort of to a minimal. So thank goodness for that. So I got that done, and then I spent all day Saturday working on my boat trailer, greasing the bearings, reinstalling my brakes and getting it ready to haul home in the pouring rain, which sucked. I got that all done, and then on Sunday I towed the boat home. Mrs. Outlaw and I towed the boat home, and that trip was good. It was a good drive home. Everything went well, and I get home only to get a phone call that that my friend passed away. And he actually doesn't live, but he has a place right in front of my cabin. Like he's my neighbor. And and I talk to him all the time when we're out there in the summertime, and great man, awesome man. And yeah, I got a phone call that he had a massive heart attack and passed away on Sunday. And I was just like, I was floored, man. I was floored. It put me into a tailspin of a mood, because he wasn't much older than I am. And, he was in decent shape, good, relatively good shape. And, yeah, it was his time, I guess, but holy shit, I was pissed right off. I was pissed off because, he was just telling me in the summertime, he's like, yeah, one more year, man, one more year. And I'm retiring. I'm pulling the pin. I'm just going to be out here fishing and enjoying myself. And I'm just like, good for you, buddy. Right on. That's awesome. And frickin' dies. Sucks, it's part of life that sucks. And I know we're all going to do it. We're all going to get there, but it sucks. And I feel so bad for his wife, his kids, all of his family. Right. And, yeah, it's just horrible. Too young. He died too goddamn young. Sorry to use the Lord's name in vain again, but he died too damn young. So I was in a shitty mood. And then I had to get ready for my trip to go. So anyways, I'm not going to dwell on it. I'm not going to complain. It just reminds you and reassures you to get out and do the shit you want to do, because life's too short, man. We all have an expiry date. We don't know what that date is. And when it's time to go, we're gone. And you could be gone in a heartbeat, or it could take a while or whatever, but you can't rewind. You can't go back. So get out and do the shit you want to do. And that's why I'm doing my trip, because it's what I want to do. So anyways, my prayers are with my buddy and his family, and yeah, I'll have a toast for him next summer out of the West Coast. So anyways, what else do we have? The other thing I want to talk about is so I had my discussion with Fred Roll, subarctic Alaska Sasquatch. Subarctic Alaska Sasquatch. My mouth hardly ever works properly. Say that about 10 times, eh? So when I chatted with Fred Roll, we talked about a bunch of stuff, and Fred shared with me the number of missing people that go missing every year in Alaska. And he's like, yeah, it's an average of I believe, I hope I'm right with this, but I believe Fred said to me it was an average of 20, last year, 2,500 people went missing in Alaska. And he's like, I'm not saying they're all related to the hairy man, but he goes, I believe some of them could be. And he goes, anyways, he said that to me, and I thought, holy shit, that's a staggering number. That's a lot of people to go missing. And I was like, wow. So I started doing a little bit of research on that after Fred and I spoke. And, not to take away from what Fred said, and not to take away from the missing people in Alaska, but I'm going to share something with you. I looked it up, and in the province of British Columbia, Canada. So in British Columbia, where I live, in 2020, 20,400 people went missing. 20,400 people went missing in 1 year. And if you don't believe that, Google that shit. I damn near dropped my phone when I looked that up. I said to my wife, I'm like, you gotta hear this. And I told her, and she's like, come on. So I showed her. 20,500, 400. And so I started looking back, and 2019 it was like 17,000, and thousands and thousands and thousands of people every year. But what was odd is 2020 was kind of the last statistic. There was nothing really precise for 2021, 2022, 23, and 24. So why not? Why is that not being shared? They tell us about up until 2020, but they don't give the stats for the next 4 years after that. Why not? That's bizarre. I don't understand that. And I can't find the exact numbers for those next 4 years. But holy shit. Like 20,000 people. You say you average 15,000 people for 10 years. That's 150,000 people, right? In 15 years, in 10 years. 15,000 people a year, 10 years, 150,000 people. That's not acceptable. That's not acceptable. So anyways, I was absolutely blown away by that. And I'm going to do a little bit more research into it. Maybe look at what Dave Pilatus puts out and look into that a little bit more. Like how many go missing in the US every year? Other countries, how many go missing in other countries every year? This is just one province. This is not Canada. Okay. This is one province in Canada. So I'm going to do some more into that. That blew my mind. Right. And then I kind of have a flashback about these dipshits that go, I don't believe in Sasquatch because we would find a body. We would find a body in this vast wilderness that I've shown you guys video and pictures of, where there's nothing for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles. There's no roads, there's no settlements, there's no nothing for hundreds, thousands of square miles. I've shown you a video of that. I've shown you pictures of that. And there's dipshits out there that go, I'm not going to believe it until I find a body. Why has there not been a body found? Well, you know what? Why have we not found 20,000 missing people in 1 year in one province? We can't find those bodies. Yet you expect people to stumble upon a Sasquatch body carcass out in the frickin' woods? Give your head a shake. Like to say, there you'd find bodies out there in the woods or whatever in the wilderness. No, you wouldn't. I can count on one hand the amount of carcasses, full carcasses that I've seen when I've been out hunting. And I hunt some of the most remote country in Canada. Okay, some of the most far out there remote country that you can get into. Hike for days to get into it. That's where I go, and I can count on one hand how many carcasses, bear, moose, deer, elk, whatever, that I've seen out there. It doesn't work that way in the real world. Okay, in the real world, when an animal dies or something dies out in the woods, there's nothing left. Okay, very often, there's nothing left. More often than not. The odd time, you'll find the odd scattered bone. But, so you know what? To all the dipshits that think, you know what? There would be proof because there would be a body out there. Well, you know what? We got hundreds of thousands of missing people every year. Zero trace of them. Zero trace. Okay. Steve was saying that up where he hunts in central British Columbia, that a man and his dog just went missing. Gone. Vanished. Gone. No sign of them. Okay. I've heard of many of them, but I had no idea the numbers were that high. So anyways, that's, I just wanted to share that because that's alarming. That's alarming to me. And it did give the stats on children, how many children go missing. And I don't even want to talk about that because it makes me want to get sick. But yeah, it's alarming that many people can go missing. So anyways, I'm going to do more looking into that. I'm going to do a little bit more research on that. I might even reach out to Fred again about that and talk to him. You know what? I might even reach out to Dave Pilatus and say, and see what Dave has to say. Like, I know Dave deals with the missing 411. So, it's piqued my interest. So anyways, with that being said, for all you impatient people, it's time for the glasses. You know what? The last thing I'm going to say before I read this email is I've said it for a long time. If I see dipshits, assholes, people attacking me or people attacking good people like you, good subscribers, I just hide you. You're gone. and there was one jackass that made a bunch of comments on my channel about the grizzly bear that came in and took the quarter and took the head or whatever. And he basically called me a liar on my own channel about, you're full of shit. There's no way that, your story doesn't add up. Why wouldn't you kill it? Why wouldn't you do this? And then he goes, why would you ever leave fresh meat hanging in a tree at camp? Why wouldn't you package it up, put it in a freezer, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you're such an idiot. You are such an idiot. You know what? If you're not a hunter, don't start talking like you're one. And if you're not a hunter, ask the question. Don't say, why aren't you doing this or why aren't you doing that? This guy was a complete jackass. Okay. And I'm going to tell you, his YouTube was MP, Mark Paul. Okay. And I hit him so he can watch my videos, but he can never comment on them again. And man, I'd love to get my hands on somebody like that. I'd love to get my hands on somebody like that, but I'm just too nice of a guy now. 10 years ago, if I could have got my hands on a guy like that, it would have been ugly. But anyways, Mark Paul, if you're watching, beat it. Got no use for you here at Outlaw Country. Okay, that's it. That's it. I'm going to put on the magic glasses. And I'm going to get these emails read for you guys. Because you guys have the courage to share your encounters with me and have asked me to share it with everybody else. And by damn, that's what I'm going to do. So here we go. Next on the list. Hello, Darren. I hope you're doing well. I've really enjoyed your YouTube adventures, as well as the information you're sharing from viewers regarding Sasquatch encounters. Sorry, just reading it how it is here. I think the more information that gets shared around the world will only educate us about these beings. I've wondered for many years what they actually are and where did they originate. Have they always been in our forests? Are they in fact from another planet or another dimension? I personally don't have a damn clue, but I have had an encounter that has me packing my gun every time I leave my farmhouse. It happened 10 years ago on our farm in the early evening. I was down by the creek that goes through the property, mending some fences, when I heard a very faint but clear grunt type sound. I stopped what I was doing and walked away from the creek so I could hear a little bit better and see if I could hear the sound again. As I was standing there listening, I did hear it again. It's kind of difficult to explain exactly what it sounded like, but it was a deep, long grunt or groan, and it repeated 4 or 5 times. I only heard it the one more time, and that was it. So I went back and finished the fence repair that I had started. I've been a rancher my entire life, and I've heard cattle make some pretty strange noises at times, so I just shrugged this off as nothing. I grabbed my bucket of tools once I finished, and I headed up to where I had parked my UTV. When I got up to the road, I saw my UTV was flipped on its side on the edge of the gravel road. This is my own private road, so nobody drives through there except for my family and my one hired hand. I got to the rig and was looking around, and I saw some huge footprints in the dirt in the middle of the road. They were without a doubt Sasquatch footprints. And yes, they were massive, probably 16 to 18 inches long. There were only a couple of clear prints, and the rest were all scuffed up. I don't carry a sidearm with me when I'm working, but I do carry a 30-30 in the back of the UTV. So I grabbed it and started looking around, walking all around the rig. I couldn't see or hear anything out of the ordinary, so I went back to the rig and called my son and told him I needed help at the cattle guard by the creek. I told him to bring the pickup and some chain. It took him about 30 minutes from my boy to get there. When he jumped out of the truck, he laughed and said, "Oh yeah, the old man rolled the side-by-side." I said, "No, Brad, I didn't roll anything." He said, "Well, what happened then? Did one of the bulls push it over?" I thought about that for a second, as that would be a great cover story to tell Brad and my wife. But I decided that I needed to be honest with them for their own safety and explain exactly what I saw. I walked Brad over to the rig and said, "Take a look at that." Brad's response was, "Holy shit, Pops. What the hell is that?" I said, "Let's talk about this when we get home. It's getting dark and I want to get this rig back on its wheels and back to the house." Brad agreed and we righted the UTV and headed back for the house. When we got home, my wife asked what happened. I said, "Carol, I want you and Brad to sit down because I want to talk to you." I explained to Carol the tracks that were at the rig, and Brad verified with a head nod. Carol said, "Do you mean to tell me it was a Sasquatch that rolled the UTV over?" I said, "Yes, as crazy as it sounds, that's exactly what I'm telling you." Carol had a hard time believing what I was saying, but she knew it to be true. And even Brad was still doubting it, but he admitted he had seen the tracks and there was no denying it. Brad said, "I honestly never believed in these things, Pops, but there's no denying those prints in the dirt." We talked about this for hours, and Carol was not happy with the outcome, but I assured her and told her I don't think we're in any kind of danger. This thing was making noises at me and flipped our rig, and I was only a few hundred yards away at the creek. If it wanted me dead, I'd be dead. I took Carol and Brad back there the next day to show her the prints, and she couldn't believe her eyes. I do regret now not taking any pictures of the tracks because they were clear and visible, but I didn't want anyone to know what had happened, and I made that very clear to my family and to our hand. I said, "This does not get discussed outside of this farm." I didn't want people coming to the farm or giving any of us a hard time in town, so we kept this to ourselves up until a couple years ago, when a nearby rancher was losing calves on a regular basis. He's a good friend and we've known each other for 25 years. So I filled him in on what happened to me 8 years ago. He was absolutely shocked, but never once doubted what I was telling him. That's something that I personally think is very important for people to understand. Why in God's name would myself or any other person of substance make something like that up? For me personally, I have absolutely nothing to gain and lots to lose. I've been living here for 30 years and my family's been in the valley for 3 generations. Why the hell would I, or anyone else for that matter, jeopardize my reputation and family name by making something up that could ruin all of that? It makes no sense. I told my neighbor because he deserved to know. And since sharing with him, I've told a few other people I know and trust. I've decided to share with you and the outlaw country community because I really do believe that people have the right to know what is going on and what is out in the woods. As I said earlier, I don't know what the hell they really are or where they came from. I don't know if they mean us harm or just making their presence known. What I do know is that these things are out there, and I now believe they are everywhere, all around the world. I commend everyone who's had the courage to tell their story because it's not an easy thing to do. Trust me. I wish you all the best, and thanks again for an outlet for the truth to be told. George Hamilton. Well, thank you, George. And I agree, man. I agree. It's talking and listening, and I'm glad that you shared the truth with your wife and son. I think that's important. Um, it's pretty obvious. If you didn't see the tracks, well, it would make sense. Your son said, "Oh, was it a bull that pushed the rig over?" Had you not seen the tracks, that's logical. A bull comes and a full-grown steer bull could easily push over a side by side, no doubt. But you saw the tracks, so there's no denying that. You can't hide. You could have hidden that. You could have hidden that from your son and from your wife, but you didn't. So my hat goes off to you for that. Yeah, you're right. The more people talk and more people listen. Okay. Honestly, in my opinion, it's more about listening. There's, I don't know, tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of encounters now, eyewitnesses, people that have had something happen, seen these creatures, these people, noises, tree breaks, footprints, whatever you want to call it. There's all this shit that's gone on. So there's thousands upon thousands upon thousands of witnesses. Just needs to be more people listening, more people open-minded. So anyways, thanks, my man. I appreciate it. Appreciate you sending that in. And I see you included your number as well. And when I get a chance, I'll reach out to you for sure. My apologies for not emailing back. When I get these emails in, I can't keep up with other emails that I get and whatnot. So I do my best and I will get back to you. Okay. Just give me a little bit of time and I'll either give you a call, George, or I will, or I'll send you an email. Okay, here's the next ones. We're going to hammer 2 off tonight, or this morning, I mean. And then maybe I can get 2 in this morning, and maybe I can do 1 or 2 tomorrow night, for following Friday. Okay, so this one is from Craig Bishop. Darren, my name's Craig Bishop, and I live just outside of Bend, Oregon. I've been to Bend, Oregon. I just recently came upon your channel and thought I'd share with you some of the shit I've encountered over the past few years. I'm a surveyor, and I used to spend a great deal of time surveying for new logging road construction. I still do some road surveying now, but most of the time is spent on government projects locally. I loved surveying logging road because we were generally in the middle of nowhere, hiking through the bush. And that I love. There was always 2 of us on a crew, the surveyor and a rod man, ribbon man, who would lay down survey tape as we went. I was working one day in August with my usual partner, and we were surveying new road construction into a box canyon from an existing road network. Don and I were doing our thing, working up this hillside towards a creek that we were going to end up paralleling with the new road. As we were walking along to our new setup, I noticed some fairly good-sized trees, 8 to 12 inches across, that were broken off 6 to 7 feet from the ground. Now, it's not uncommon to see trees broken off in virgin forest, but generally, they are bigger trees that may have some rot or rooting issues. These trees we found were fairly small and healthy, or at least they appeared healthy. Anyways, as we stopped to look at them, we noticed there were probably 10 to 15 trees broken, spread out over a few hundred feet. This looked really odd to both Don and I. I said, Don, man, that's strange, isn't it? Sorry, guys. I said to Don, man, that's strange, isn't it? Don said, yeah, it's a little odd, all right. We carried on a few minutes and got set up to shoot some more points, but I was still thinking about the trees we had seen. We finished our day's work without any issues and headed back to the truck. On our way home, I asked Don what he made of the broken trees we had come across. He said, I don't know, man. They sure did look out of place, didn't they? What do you think? What do you think happened there? Wind? I said, yeah, probably. It was just strange how it was the smaller trees, not the bigger, rotten ones. Donnie and I talked a little more about it on the way home, but then moved on to something else. The next day, we were back at it on our way to where we finished the previous day. As we got to the spot where the trees were broken, we noticed quite a few new ones broken as well as 3 trees snapped off and leaned together like a tripod. The ground around the area had been torn up a bit as well. This time, Don and I were both like, what the hell is going on? Donnie said, do you think there could be a Sasquatch in here, man? Although I never mentioned it yesterday when he and I were talking, the thought definitely did cross my mind. But I said, I don't think so, Don. I'm pretty sure they're just a myth. My mind was going a mile a minute as we got through that area and got set up. Yeah, I was nervous, and so was Donnie. We started working, and as I was looking at the instrument, I caught something out of the corner of my eye to the right. I looked that direction and saw something moving, but it wasn't clear. It was about 80 feet away and moving very quickly to my right. As I watched this partial figure moving down the hill, I hollered to Don. When I did that, whatever was moving stopped immediately. Don responded and I said, hey, get down here. And I never took my eyes off where this movement was. The strange thing is that there wasn't anything there. I mean, it just looked kind of like a shadow in the trees. When Don got to me, I pointed where I was looking and said, do you see anything over there? He said, no, why? I said, I'm sure something ran down the hill and stopped right there behind that tree. We watched for a few minutes, but nothing moved. So we went back to work, but now my nerves were shot. As soon as Don got maybe 75, 80 feet away from me, I heard a very loud snap and turned to see a 20-foot tree fall to the ground right where I was looking. And then a flash of movement again, but no clear view, and it was gone. A second or two later, maybe 100 feet further down the hill, another loud snap. I never saw the tree fall this time, but it was definitely another tree breaking. I didn't have to call Don. He was right back at my side within a minute. He said, what the F was that, man? I said, I don't know, Donnie, but we're not sticking around to find out. Let's pack our shit and get out of here. We got back to the truck and both sat inside staring at each other and barely spoke a word. As we were heading back to town, Don said, Craig, I ain't going back into that build. I didn't hesitate to say, me either, man. I'm not going back into there without an army. He said, what the hell was doing that? I said, I don't know for sure, but I saw something very big moving quickly through the timber just before the tree broke, but it was blurry and dark and I couldn't make it out. Something huge is definitely out there and I don't want nothing to do with it. Donnie asked me again if I thought it was a Sasquatch, and I said, I don't know anything about Sasquatch, Don, but it could have been. When I got home and dove into the Sasquatch topic, I realized that almost without a doubt, what we encountered in that valley was a Sasquatch. I'm not sure if this thing was cloaking or just moving so fast that I couldn't make it out. I never actually saw a figure. It was more of a shadow blur, but it was definitely something. As I read more about these Sasquatch, I realized that they do break trees and build things with trees. The signs were all there. We just didn't know anything about them. I told our boss what had happened and that we didn't want to go back in there. He laughed his ass off and said, "You're afraid of the boogeyman?" I said, "Yep, we are. We're not going back." He said he'd find another crew to finish the work and get us onto something else. As I was walking out of Tom's office, he said, "Hey, Craig, what do you think you saw out there? Honestly." I said, "I don't know, man. I don't know for sure. But I just can't go back into that place." Apparently, the other crew went and finished our job without any scares, but they did see all the broken trees and actually took pictures of them and tripod structure. I'll see if I can get those pics and send them to you if you're interested. I've been surveying for 15 years, Darren. A lot of that has been out in the woods. And I've never had another incident, knock on wood, pardon the pun. I can't say for certain what we saw was a Sasquatch because it wasn't clear. But I'd bet the farm that it was. What else could break a healthy 10 to 12 inch, 20-foot tree like a matchstick? Every time I'm out in the woods now, I always pray silently in the back of my mind to be left alone. I don't ever want another encounter like that. Anyways, Darren, feel free to share this if you'd like, or just keep it to yourself. I just wanted to share my encounter with someone who might understand. Take care, all the best. Craig Bishop, Bend, Oregon. Holy shit, Craig. Well, there you go, man. I know what that's like. I've had trees broken. How about you guys all saw the shadow behind me that I didn't see. There was a flash behind me, and there's been apparently a few of those in my videos that I haven't seen. And yeah, unnerving, dude. Really unnerving. I don't blame you for getting the hell out of there. And yeah, it's, I'm far from any kind of Bigfoot Sasquatch expert, but from what I've read and from what I know, yeah, the breaking of trees, this structure thing, that's pretty common. And I don't know why either. I just don't know. But again, you're there and you're okay. Both of you guys are okay. You weren't harmed. So what does that tell you? I don't know. Anyways, Craig, I appreciate it. Thanks very much for sharing. And anybody else that's got any stories you want to share, send them in. outlawcountry1896@gmail.com. Don't want to send them to me, send them to Steve Isdall. Share your story at howtohunt.com. You don't want to share them with Steve, send them to Fred Roll. Subarctic Alaska Sasquatch. Send them to somebody. And because there's a lot of people out there that believe you, and you're not alone. So anyways, I feel like that was a long video, but whatever. You might get another one in a week. You might not. But you definitely won't get any more than one more after this. And I don't know how long I'm going to be gone. I'll be gone till I get back. How's that sound? I'll be safe. You all be safe. Bless you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for this awesome, strong community. And you know what? Be good to each other. Be kind. Remember, it's better, easier. It takes less energy to be kind than it does to be a dick. Don't be a douchebag. Don't be an asshole. Be nice. Be kind. Be respectful. And life's short. Get out and do what you want to do. I don't care if it's a 10-minute walk and it brings you joy. Get out and do it. Because we all got a clock. We all have an expiry date. We just don't know what it is yet. So get out and do your thing. You only live once. Remember that tattoo I got? Die with memories, not with dreams. All right? That's what I'm doing. When I bail off this planet, I'm going to have a lot of memories. I'm not going to die with dreams going, wish I'd have done this, wish I'd have done that. Nope, I'm doing it. So anyways, that's it, guys. Be safe. I'm out.